Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Rocky Linux, a clone of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, has just released version 8.5, still called Green Obsidian, but more interestingly, offers a live ISO with the XFCE desktop replacing Gnome entirely. Let's check it out. Let's get started. The ISO is known good, so I'll skip the testing and start the live XFCE environment. Let's see what that looks like. Have a little EFI warning there we can ignore. Okay, looks like XFCE. Let's fix the screen resolution. Let's set it to 1920 by 1080 and keep the configuration. Good. Let's dive right into launching Anaconda, the Rocky Linux installer, and Red Hat and RHEL and the rest. English looks good. We'll continue in English. All right, time and date is Los Angeles time zone. That is correct. We're already connected to the network, but let's change the host name to Rocky85 today. And hit apply and done. Next, let me turn off the kernel crash dumping mechanism. We don't need that today for this demonstration. It just takes up space. So we'll turn it off. And let's configure the disk VDA, which is 32 gigabytes. We'll make it a standard partitioning scheme. We'll first add the /boot/EFI partition, and let's make it 600 M for megabytes. And that's already set to EFI system partition type, reformat request. Next, let's configure /boot directory. Let's make it 1 gigabyte for /boot. And instead of XFS, because it's so small, let's make it ext4 and update the settings here. Okay. Next, let's add the swap partition. Let's make it about our RAM size, which is 4 gigabytes. Swap is the file system, that's correct. And for the rest of the drive, let's assign that to the root file system. Let's make it 26.41 gigabytes. That's what it says we have available. Let's add that mount point. So we only have a little under 5 megabytes left. That's fine. That's the entire disk. Make that one as well ext4 and update the settings. All right. That looks good. Let's check the summary of changes. So it's creating a GPT partition scheme. And it's creating the partitions we just requested. All looks good. All right, we'll accept the changes. So the installation destination configuration is done. Let's create the user for myself. Call it Steven. Make myself user, make mine administrator. Give myself a password. And I'll click advanced here to check to make sure I'm added to the wheel group, which allows me sudo, which I'll be needing as administrator. Yes, it does. That's the default for administrator users. All right, that's done. So I think we're all set. The root account will remain disabled for security reasons, and we can begin installation. So it's creating our partitions and installing the software. And Looks like it's successfully doing the installation. So at the bootloader, doing some post-installation steps, configuring the installed system, generating initram file system, running some more scripts, and it's done. Good. Let's finish and reboot into our freshly installed system. Okay, so our first option is kernel 4.18, which is the default kernel version. Patch to high heaven. We've got an XFCE session here on what looks like SDDM to me. So they're using SDDM with XFCE. I'm entering my password. And we're in our installed system. So let's fix the screen resolution again by going to 1920 by 1080, 60 Hertz, hitting apply, keep, and we'll close that. All right. Let's do the first thing first and configure DNF downloading. So let's make this terminal nice and big. And let's sudo vi /etc/dnf/dnf.conf. Enter my password, sudo password. Let's add the configuration line item max_parallel_downloads equals 10. So we can hopefully make the DNF downloading more efficient. All right, so let's sudo dnf check-update. So it has the AppStream repos, baseOS, extras, power tools, and extra packages for enterprise Linux as well. Cool. So this is what it wants to update. All these packages, including the kernel. Looks like we got kernel patches already, even though this was just released a few days ago. Very nice. It's under active support. So let's sudo dnf upgrade and do the deed. Hit Y to continue. And, let all these packages, 45 looks like of them, be patched. So we go ahead and import the GPG key. It's running the transaction test and doing all the upgrades. It's like there are 86 upgrades tasks to do. And it's complete. All right, since we updated the kernel, we'll do a reboot. All right, we've got the newly patched kernel here. So let's boot to that one, the latest. Official kernel. There's SDDM. Let me enter my password. Okay, we're up to date. Let's start the terminal. Let's make the font size a little bigger for you guys. Let's sudo -s and switch to a root shell because I want to do the rest as root. So first, DNF repo list. So again, as I mentioned earlier, we've got AppStream, baseOS, EPEL and EPEL modular, extras, and power tools. So those are already enabled. So to that, let's install --no GPG check https://mirror.math.princeton.edu. I like the math departments at Princeton's repo here. /pub/rpm fusion /free/el/rpm fusion -free -release -8.noarch.rpm, and also non-free, which is https://mirror.math.princeton.edu/pub/rpm fusion /non-free/el/rpm fusion dash non-free dash release dash 8 dot noarch dot rpm. That looks good. So let's install both RPM Fusion, free and non-free, repositories. Make those available. Always good to have. All right, that's done. So let's make sure they're added. Yes, they are. Those are the last two entries. Cool. Next, let's clear the terminal and do a dnf-y install https://www.elrepo.org/elrepo-release 8.elate.elrepo.noarch.rpm and hit return. So there we go with the elrepo release, because we would like to update the kernel to the latest. So let's import with rpm-import https://www.elrepo.org/rpm-gpg-key-elrepo.org. And our key has been imported. So next, let's list the available kernels from the elrepo by typing dnf-disable repo, so we don't want the other repos here for this exercise. And then, so all of them, and then enable chest the el repo dash kernel in quotes and list available. And pipe that and grep for kernel-ml and hit enter. And it looks like we have kernel 5.15.2 available from the EL repository. So let's install the latest kernel with dnf-enable repo, because the others are still disabled, equals elrepo-kernel install kernel-ml. Very simple. That installs the kernel, the core, and the modules packages. So let's do that. And it's done. Cool. Now we'd also like to install with allow erasing, because we want to get rid of the older packages. We also need to enable elrepo again. We'd like to install kernel-ml- and then in curly braces, devel and headers packages. So we can compile kernel-dependent packages in the future. So this is what it's going to install, a bunch of Perl packages as well. It's going to get rid of kernel headers, and we enabled erasing, so we allowed it. So let's hit Y and let those packages install. And, shouldn't take too long. All right, it's all done. Cool. Now we just get to reboot and test out our 5.15.2 kernel. And there it is at the top of the selection list. We've got the other kernels as well, just in case we need to recover. So let's do 5.15.2. Let's see if it boots up again. And sure enough, it did. We weren't shocked, were we? Okay. Let's log in. And let's open up that terminal again and make the font size bigger. Control-Shift+ is what I use. Let's become a root shell again. Become root. and do a DNF repo list. So yeah, we've got all these repos available to us now. And let's install neofetch with DNF install neofetch. And neofetch pulls in all these dependencies, which are fine. So let's make it happen. Okay. And it's done. So let's clear the terminal and run neofetch. And there you go. So we're running, indeed, Rocky Linux 8.5. 5.15.2 is the kernel from the EL repo. Running XFCE 4.16, which is the latest, I believe. We only have the Adwaita and default theme. The memory is only 481 megabytes consumed, which is very light for full desktop. For RHEL compatible installation, that's not bad at all, considering all the services running. Speaking of which, let's do a systemctl enable --now cockpit.socket, which should pull in the service for Cockpit, which is our web-based admin tool, which I'd like to demonstrate a little bit today. In order to do that, let's launch the Firefox web browser. There's the Rocky Linux homepage. Let's make it a little bigger font size here. We'll get back to that momentarily because I'd like to launch Cockpit as well in another tab with port 9090. So it's HTTPS, and so we'll go ahead with logging in as myself and my password. And there it is. Let's turn on the administrative access. It's checking for package updates. While it's doing that, let's go back to the Rocky Linux homepage. It says it's a community-driven effort to bring you enterprise-grade, production-ready Linux. So it talks a little bit about what the Rocky Linux project is all about. It's led by Gregory Kurtzer, founder of the CentOS project. So this is a good CentOS replacement. So point here is it's not the CentOS stream, which is after has been added by the upstream vendor, not before, like with the CentOS stream. So we're back to a more stable base, like CentOS used to be. So it's supported by AWS, Azure, OSL, and Supermicro, a great server vendor. Yeah, so a lot of good organizations are on board with the Rocky Linux project. So the news section here has Rocky Linux available now. Yep. See the wiki. A bunch of frequently asked questions. Let's look at the documentation here. Yeah, okay, some documentation. Looks like this is the home for documentation. So we've got guides. Oh, yes. Lots of very interesting and very informative guides on how to do some common tasks with Rocky Linux or RHEL. These are absolute gifts to the community because you can learn a lot, especially if you're studying for certification, for example. I got system administrator guides, learning Ansible, learning Linux with Rocky. Yeah, good tutorials and documentation here. This is a fantastic book section. They also offer labs, tutorial labs, And security labs, looks like they got a few security labs here. Local security, staged hack, cryptography, kernel level security. Yeah, very useful for study. Can't recommend these highly enough. On top of that, it's got some gemstones, some often used activities here, like they give you a bash script stub, process management, network diagnostics. So they talk about MTR. Definitely check those gemstones out. Okay, it's got the release notes here, so you can read those on your own if you're interested. Oh, very nice documentation. And there's our Rocky Linux homepage again. Okay, very nice. So we're back to the Cockpit on localhost colon 9090/system. System is up to date. So yeah, we've got all our usual basic Cockpit modules running. Very nice. This is the networking section. It's got the firewall, logs. Here's our storage. So yeah, it's only taking 1.76 gigabit. Oh, that's the ISO size, yeah. So 4.88 as installed on the root partition. Okay, very light install. All right, 4.88 gigabytes is like nothing these days on storage. So this is our application menu. Mail reader, I believe, is Thunderbird. Yes. Okay. Good choice for defaults, I think. I use Thunderbird all the time. Under settings, we've got the usual XFCE settings manager. Under appearance, they don't have any themes or styles installed, just Adwaita. So you'll have to do that yourself if you'd like to make your Rocky install your own. Under firewall, we also have the Cockpit firewall section. Let me do that again. Okay, can't type today. Public shows the following services enabled. Not too many, actually. Got Cockpit, so Cockpit's available from the outside coming in. So that's enabled, and also DHCP client. All right. So under administration, we got firewall. We just saw that. Accessories, we got application finder, bulk rename, mousepad, passwords and keys, screenshot, and the Thunar file manager, as is with everything. Genie IDE. Here's our about XFCE. So nothing unusual for an XFCE install. We got running 4.16. The graphics, we've got the Ristretto image viewer. Under internet, we've got Firefox, Pigeon Internet Messenger, Thunderbird, as we saw, and transmission torrent client. Multimedia, we got Pulse Audio, volume control, and Rhythm Box player. System, yeah, nothing too unusual. Here, pretty standard XFCE. Okay. So, tools. So we can install fresher development tools because the ones with RHEL like distros are a bit old. So let's install GCC-toolset-11 instead of the 8.5 that it comes with. So we've got all the GNU compiler collection packages here. C, C++, G-Fortran, make, trace, make, binutils. Yeah, I just said make twice. All right, let's go ahead and install the compiler collection version 11. once that's done, let's test it out and see if it works. So it's done. Let's clear the terminal. And it stores it in /opt/rh/gcc-toolset-11. There's an enable script there. And there's a root directory there where all the binaries, libraries, everything is contained in the collection version 11. So let's source /opt/rh/gcc-toolset-11/enable. So that's done, and let's check out what version we're running of the compiler collection. And there it is, 11.2.1, Red Hat. And there it is. So yeah, if you need a fresher toolset, you can do that too. So very good. So it looks like we have a good base for doing further customizations and then imaging if you want to image other workstations. There are other clones of RHEL out there, notably Alma and Oracle, but the Rocky project is led by Gregory Kurtzer, the founder of the CentOS project himself, 19 years ago. With the option of supporting the latest kernels and development toolsets, I'm thinking Rocky deserves consideration as a good Linux workstation solution in your Red Hat server environment, especially if they offer XFCE instead of Gnome out of the box. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Until next time, take care.